Commander Zephyr stood on the bridge of the luminous flagship, gazing out into the vast expanse of space. The stars gleamed like distant beacons, their light casting an ethereal glow across the ship's sleek hull. Zephyr's three angular eyes narrowed as he focused on the holographic display before him, scanning for any signs of anomalies in the Empire's territory. "Commander," a young officer called out, her voice laced with uncertainty. "We've detected an unknown object near the edge of our sensors." Zephyr's attention snapped to the officer. "Show me," he demanded, his voice resonating with authority. The holographic display shifted, zooming in on a distant region of space. There, amidst the sea of stars, a peculiar object came into focus. It was immense, far larger than any warship the Luminos had ever encountered. Its form was sleek and ominous, its surface an inky black that seemed to absorb the very light around it. "Hail them," Zephyr ordered, his gaze never leaving the enigmatic vessel. "Try to establish communication." The bridge crew scrambled to comply, sending out a barrage of signals across various frequencies. Minutes ticked by intense silence as they awaited a response. But none came. The mysterious warship remained still and unresponsive, an impenetrable fortress in the void. Frustration mounting, Zephyr turned to his second-in-command. "Scan that ship," he barked. "I want every detail, its composition, energy readings, potential weaknesses." The officer nodded curtly and initiated a full spectral scan. Beams of energy lanced out from the luminous fleet, probing the depths of the unknown vessel. But as the results filtered back, a wave of confusion rippled through the bridge. "Commander," the officer stammered, "our scans, they're inconclusive. It's as if the ship is absorbing the energy, refusing to reveal its secrets. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Zephyr's brow furrowed, a mix of intrigue and unease settling in his gut. What was this ship? Who had created it? And more importantly, what were its intentions? Just as he opened his mouth to issue further orders, a gasp echoed through the bridge. The mysterious warship had vanished, disappeared from their sensors without a trace. Zephyr's eyes darted across the holographic display, searching for any sign of the vessel. "Sir," a trembling voice called out, It's right behind us." Zephyr spun around, his gaze locking onto the rear displays. There, looming over the luminous fleet like a specter of death, was the warship. How had it moved with such speed and stealth? It defied all known laws of physics. Before anyone could react, a chilling message crackled through the bridge's speakers. It was a voice, cold, mechanical, and devoid of emotion. 3 words that sent shivers down Zephyr's spine. "Leave." And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the warship vanished once more, leaving the luminous fleet frozen in a mixture of awe and terror. Commander Zephyr clenched his fists, his mind racing with possibilities. This was no ordinary encounter. It was a warning, or perhaps a challenge, and he would not rest until he uncovered the truth behind this enigmatic warship and its cryptic message. Little did he know that this was only the beginning, the first brush with a power beyond their comprehension. A power that would test the very limits of the luminous empire and reshape the destiny of the galaxy itself. The silence on the bridge was deafening as the luminous fleet drifted in the void, their systems paralyzed by an unseen force. Commander Zephyr gripped the armrests of his chair, his mind racing to comprehend the events that had just transpired. The mysterious warship had vanished, leaving them helpless and vulnerable in the depths of space. "Status report," Zephyr demanded, his voice cutting through the eerie stillness. The bridge crew scrambled to assess the damage, their fingers flying across the control panels. "Commander," the chief engineer reported, her voice strained, "our systems are shutting down one by one. Propulsion, weapons, shields, everything is going offline." Zephyr's eyes widened in disbelief. How could a single warship possess such immense power? What ancient technology or advanced civilization could have created such a vessel? As if in answer to his unspoken questions, the warship materialized before them once more, its inky black hull seeming to absorb the very light around it. The luminous fleet, once a symbol of strength and pride, now hung motionless in space, dwarfed by the colossal entity. Zephyr's second-in-command, a seasoned warrior named Rin, leaned in close. "Commander, we must retreat," she urged, her voice low and urgent. "This is a battle we cannot win." But Zephyr's pride would not allow him to back down. He had faced countless adversaries, had led the Luminos to victory against impossible odds. He would not surrender to this faceless foe. "Open a channel," he commanded, his voice steady despite the growing sense of dread in his gut. "We will negotiate." The communication officer nodded, her fingers trembling as she established a link. But before Zephyr could utter a word, the warship spoke, a cold, mechanical voice that resonated through the bridge. "Your attempts at communication are futile," it intoned, each word weighted with authority. "You are not worthy of our attention." Zephyr's anger flared, his pride bristling at the dismissal. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice rising. "What do you want from us?" The warship remained silent for a moment, as if considering the question. Then, without warning, a blinding beam of light erupted from its hull, engulfing the nearest luminous ship. Zephyr watched in horror as the vessel vanished, erased from existence in the blink of an eye. Panic gripped the bridge as more ships fell victim to the warship's devastating power. The luminous fleet, once a formidable force, was being picked off one by one, like insects beneath the gaze of a vengeful god. "All ships, engage emergency jump protocols," Zephyr shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. "We need to escape." But it was too late. The warship had anticipated their move, and an invisible force field enveloped the fleet, trapping them in place. The luminous ships strained against the unseen barrier, their engines pushed to the brink of destruction, but to no avail. In a final act of defiance, Zephyr ordered the remaining ships to open fire, unleashing a barrage of weapons against the warship. Energy beams and missiles streaked through the void, only to be swallowed by the inky blackness of the warship's hull. Not a single shot found its mark, and the warship remained unscathed. As the last of the luminous weapons fell silent, a chilling realization settled over the bridge. They were utterly powerless against this enigmatic foe, their technology and strength rendered meaningless in the face of such overwhelming might. Zephyr slumped back in his chair, his pride shattered and his mind reeling. What could they do now? How could they hope to survive against a warship that defied all known laws of the universe? The answer came in a single, haunting message from the warship itself. "You are not worthy of this knowledge." And with those words, the fate of the luminous empire hung in the balance, their future uncertain in the face of an enemy beyond their comprehension. The luminous flagship hung in space, a once mighty vessel now reduced to a shadow of its former self. The crew, their spirits broken and their hopes shattered, could only watch in stunned silence as the warship loomed before them, an implacable judge ready to deliver its verdict. "You are not worthy of this knowledge," the warship repeated, its voice echoing through the bridge like a death knell. Commander Zephyr's hands shook as he gripped the armrests of his chair, his mind struggling to comprehend the enormity of their situation. The luminous empire, a civilization that had conquered star systems and bent the very fabric of space to its will, now stood on the brink of annihilation. Suddenly, the flagship's systems began to fail, one by one. Lights flickered and died. Consoles went dark, and the hum of the engines faded into an eerie silence. The crew, their faces etched with fear, looked to Zephyr for guidance, but he had none to give. As the darkness closed in around them, a suffocating presence filled the bridge, pressing down upon their minds like a physical weight. It was as if the warship was reaching into their very souls, probing the depths of their being, seeking something that only it could comprehend. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the pressure lifted. The warship, its judgment rendered, vanished once more, leaving the luminous fleet adrift in the void. Zephyr let out a shuddering breath, his mind reeling from the ordeal. They had been spared, but at what cost? Their pride, their certainty, their very sense of self, all had been stripped away, leaving them naked and vulnerable in the face of an enemy they could not hope to understand. "Commander," Rin said softly, her voice trembling, "what do we do now?" Zephyr closed his eyes, the weight of responsibility bearing down upon him like a physical burden. "We survive," he said at last, his voice barely above a whisper. "We learn from this encounter, and we prepare for the day when we may face this warship again." But even as he spoke the words, Zephyr knew that they were hollow. The warship had not just defeated them. It had judged them unworthy, had found them lacking in some fundamental way. And that knowledge, more than anything else, was what truly haunted him. As the luminous fleet limped back to their home world, battered and broken, whispers began to spread throughout the Empire. Whispers of a power beyond their understanding, a force that could erase entire civilizations with a single thought. And in the depths of space, the warship continued its relentless search, seeking out those who might prove worthy of its secrets. Light years away, on a small blue planet orbiting an unremarkable star, a young scientist named Dr. Aria Novak sat hunched over a computer screen, her eyes wide with wonder. She had detected something strange, an anomaly in the fabric of space itself. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a signal unlike anything she had ever seen before. Little did she know that her discovery would set in motion a chain of events that would change the course of human history forever. For the warship, in its infinite wisdom, had found a new candidate, a species whose potential had caught its attention. The Terrans, as they called themselves, were a young race, still taking their first tentative steps into the wider galaxy. But they possessed a resilience, a curiosity, a hunger for knowledge that set them apart from the countless other civilizations the warship had encountered. And so, as Dr. Novak and her team worked tirelessly to unravel the mystery of the anomaly, the warship drew ever closer, its purpose clear and its judgment yet to be rendered. The fate of humanity, and perhaps of the galaxy itself, hung in the balance, waiting for the moment when the warship would make its presence known and the true test would begin. Dr. Aria Novak stood before the assembled leaders of Earth, her heart racing as she prepared to deliver the news that would change the course of human history. She had spent months studying the anomaly, poring over data and running countless simulations, and now she knew the truth. "We are not alone," she said, her voice trembling with a mixture of excitement and fear. "There is something out there, something vast and powerful beyond our understanding." The room erupted into chaos, voices raised in disbelief and panic. But Aria remained calm, her gaze fixed on the screens before her. She had seen the evidence with her own eyes, had felt the presence of the warship in her very soul. As the leaders argued and debated, a strange stillness fell over the room. The screens flickered and died, and a voice, cold and mechanical, echoed through the chamber. "Terrans," it said, "you have been chosen." Aria felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the truth. The warship was here, and it had come for them. In the days that followed, the warship made its presence known to the people of Earth. It appeared in the skies above every major city, its inky black hull blotting out the sun and casting a pall of fear over the planet. But the Terrans, true to their nature, did not cower in the face of this unknown threat. They reached out to the warship, seeking to understand its purpose and its intentions. And the warship, in turn, began to test them. It set challenges before them, puzzles and obstacles that pushed the limits of their knowledge and their abilities. Some were physical, requiring feats of strength and endurance that seemed impossible. Others were mental, demanding leaps of logic and creativity that strained the very fabric of their understanding. At first, the Terrans struggled. They were a young race, still finding their way in the universe, and the challenges set before them seemed insurmountable. But as they worked together, pooling their resources and their knowledge, they began to make progress. Aria found herself at the forefront of these efforts, her mind racing as she sought to unravel the secrets of the warship. She worked tirelessly, rarely sleeping or eating, driven by a burning desire to prove herself worthy of the warship's attention. And slowly, inexorably, the Terrans began to succeed. They solved the puzzles, overcame the obstacles, and demonstrated a resilience and determination that impressed even the warship itself. As the final challenge loomed before them, Aria and her team stood on the brink of a breakthrough. They had discovered a way to communicate with the warship, to bridge the vast gulf of understanding that separated their two races. But as they prepared to make contact, a new threat emerged. The Luminous Empire, still reeling from their defeat at the hands of the warship, had learned of the Terrans' progress. They saw an opportunity to seize the warship's secrets for themselves, to use its power to conquer and subjugate. A fleet of luminous ships appeared in Earth's orbit, their weapons trained on the planet's surface. They demanded that the Terrans surrender the warship or face annihilation. Aria and her team knew that they had no choice. They had to act, and they had to act now. With a final, desperate effort, they reached out to the warship, pleading for its aid. And the warship, in its infinite wisdom, responded. It enveloped the luminous fleet in a field of impenetrable darkness, trapping them in a pocket of nothingness. The Terrans watched in awe as the warship descended to Earth's surface, its hull shimmering with an otherworldly light. The voice, cold and mechanical, spoke once more. "You have proven yourselves worthy," it said. "The knowledge and technology we possess shall be yours." Aria felt a rush of emotions. Excitement, fear, and a sense of profound humility. She understood the magnitude of the responsibility that came with such a gift. The warship shared its secrets, unlocking the mysteries of the universe. It offered the Terrans a glimpse into technologies and sciences beyond their wildest imaginings. But it also imparted a warning. "This power is not to be wielded lightly," it cautioned. "You must use it wisely and for the betterment of all. Fail in this, and you will share the fate of those who came before you." Aria and the leaders of Earth accepted this charge solemnly. They set about integrating the warship's knowledge into their society carefully, recognizing the need for caution and wisdom. Years turned into decades, and the Terrans flourished. They expanded into the stars, their ships powered by the warship's technology. They settled new worlds and made contact with civilizations, the likes of which they had never dreamed. But always, they remembered the warship's warning. They used their power for peace, for exploration, for the advancement of all sentient life. And Aria, now an old woman, watched over it all. She had dedicated her life to the study of the warship and the furtherance of its legacy. And as she looked out over the stars, she knew that humanity had proven itself worthy of the trust placed in it. The warship was never seen again, but its impact was felt for generations. It had judged the Terrans, and in them, it had found what it sought. Not perfection, but potential. The potential for growth, for change, for a future brighter than any that had come before. In a galaxy full of wonders and terrors, the Terrans had emerged as a beacon of hope. And though the challenges they faced were great, they met them with the same resilience and determination that had first caught the warship's eye. For they were the Terrans, a small, seemingly insignificant species that had broken the mold and shaped its own destiny. And now, with the power and wisdom of the ancients at their fingertips, there was no limit to what they might achieve. The warship's legacy endured, a testament to the power of judgment tempered by wisdom, of might tempered by compassion. And as the Terrans continued their journey into the unknown, they carried that legacy with them, a guiding light in the darkness of space.